Yo.
There you are. All right. Yeah, it's tricky. The email and the event have two different links.
Yep. And the one that I usually log into got put in a different folder in my email and I didn't see it. You look nice, new haircut.
I did get a haircut. It was long overdue. I definitely needed it. It's getting shaggy.
You look
All
thinner.
right. Um, anything fun going on? Anything new?
Dude, I'm dying. I'm so freaking sore. Like my neck hurts, my back hurts. I started jujitsu last night. Uh, as you know, I wrestled through high school and stuff, so I had a little bit of experience and I had a great time. And it was super competitive. Um, the problem is I still have the mindset of an 18-year-old, and I go as hard as an 18-year-old or 20-year-old. And I'm 33, which isn't old, but when you're not used to it, man, like my neck, I can't even turn my head. Like, just it's rough. So it's been a rough day. Told my wife to
Yeah,
pick up some
it'll get you.
margaritas for dinner because I'm gonna figure out a way to get comfortable.
Yeah, it'll get you. Jiu-jitsu hits you hard, especially yeah if you're trying to hit it like you're 18. Were you rolling with people that were 18?
I was rolling with some younger guys, but like the one dude he's a professional. He lifts for like competitively. So a power lifter, I guess is what you'd
Yeah,
call it.
super strong.
He's not a big guy, like, but he's set some records for his weight class in powerlifting. So
Yeah,
he is strong as a freaking bull.
yeah.
And mind you, he's still 200 pounds or 210 pounds. I'm 165. So I mean, he was ragdolling my ass, and I caught him a couple times, and yeah, but other than that, he about broke my neck twice, I think, and that I know that's why I'm sore.
Jeez. Yeah, be careful because the injury will put you out. So if you want to
Yeah,
do
and
it and you enjoy it, you gotta be able to pace yourself.
yeah, and I struggle too with like giving up. I feel like there was probably about six times I should have tapped when I didn't. And I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm fighting, I just don't have that mentality, man. I don't get it. I play softball like it's the World Series, church league softball. I play it like it's the freaking World Series. So I don't know. Just the
All in.
competitiveness. Yeah. So but
I
it was
love
fun. I had a blast. I can't wait to go back next week.
nice. Yeah, that is awesome. It's a great I need to get back to it. I'm just trying to get my basic health basic fitness taken care of first, then I can go back.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. See a few people in here. This is Roofer to Roofer, so we're here to answer your questions. Myself coming from more of the tech side of the roofing business, and then Scott being a successful roofing owner that has scaled his company over the years. And so we're here to answer your questions. We have our own questions as well. So we're just gonna, start with those probably. But if you guys have any questions, please put it in the Q&A at the bottom of Zoom. There's a little Q&A button. And then put your questions in there and we'll answer those. Otherwise, we're just going to be going through our questions until we see any pop in. So, all right. First question. Let's do some production related stuff. How do I ensure that all the necessary materials are ordered and delivered on time after a contract is signed and before production starts?
Yeah, we used to actually physically go check our material deliveries. What we would do initially was we'd schedule a delivery, place the order, schedule delivery. They'd tell us when it's coming. We'd set that all up. We would physically either go there when the delivery was coming, or we would go shortly after, make sure it got there where it's supposed to, make sure that everything was there, check the list. But we've made just between between using ProLine and using all the the material orders and everything and having that really dialed in, and then having a really good rep or relationship with ABC. Our sales rep at ABC, just he doesn't miss. So now we have just quit going because it's literally a waste of time for us at this point. They'll take pictures of where it was delivered and whatnot. So we get those, and to us now that's good enough because I mean Tim misses maybe 1 in 100, so it's like it's not worth driving and checking on it for 1 in 100. For 1 in 100, we'll just make that one material run if something was short. So yeah, make a good relationship with the sales rep at your distributor and really get them dialed into your process.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Partner with them. I mean, especially if you're doing a lot of business with them, they're going to be motivated to help you out so that you keep working with them.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
And they're already there. It's like they're already delivering the materials. Taking a couple photos for you is the easy part.
They technically, I believe, at least most of the branches are supposed to. Like that's part of their job.
Yeah,
you just got to ask for them, so they'll share them with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Makes total sense. All right, on to the next question. And if you guys got any questions for us, please put those in the Q&A at the bottom of Zoom, and we'll answer those instead. All right. Let me see. What do we got here? What are some tips for managing customer expectations for a roof installation?
I just went through this with our friend John Delorier and how we do it this week. And so basically, for one, I think payment is a big thing to set an expectation for also, not just the installation process, but we need to set an expectation for them to take care of us as well. So it's a counterbalance thing. So what we do is once, obviously in the sales process, we explain what to expect verbally, but then once they sign a contract with us, we reiterate everything we've talked to them about with an automation. So we send a text and an email, and it's, our email, I think the title of the email is how to have a great roofing experience. And then we've got this list of things, and it's not super long. It's like 6 or 8 long sentences that just basically explain, if you really want to have a really great experience with a roofing contractor, here's the things you need to do. If you've got little solar lights or, landscaping ornaments, go ahead and get those out of the road before we come. It just ensures they're not going to get damaged. Mow your grass as short as you possibly can around the house. Our magnets will do a better job picking up any stray nails that miss our tarps. Just those things that you can really, that for us, I'll tell you a big one that we used to get called on. God, it must have been at least every other week. A customer would call at like 2-3 o'clock, and they'd be getting home from work or whatever. They'd call raising hell. Hey, my yard is a mess. There's stuff laying everywhere out here. My guys are still on the roof. Like, our goal is rip it off and get it put back on as quickly as possible. Clean up comes at the end of the day, because we will clean up in the middle of the rain. We never want to stop roofing to clean. We want to finish roofing, then clean. So part of that email that we send out, the number one thing at the very top, if they read nothing else, they read this. It says something along the lines of, understand roofing is messy. Also understand we will clean everything up, but we're not going to stop getting your roof installed to clean up the ground until we're done with the roof. So, like, I swear to you, I was telling John this. I don't think I set that up maybe in like May of this year. I don't think we've had one single phone call about that since I set that up. Not one. So, just really setting that expectation that, hey, yeah, it's going to look like a shithole for just a minute. Like that's just going to be part of it. And I mean, every crew has one ground guy, and they're consistently cleaning as the day goes on, so things aren't blowing around. But the bulk of the mess doesn't really get cleaned up, real well until the end of the day. So, and you may do it differently, and that's fine, but that's how we do it. And because we set those expectations, people are absolutely okay with it. They just hate showing up at their house thinking that this might not get cleaned up. So now they know. Um, the last piece of that is the payment side, where you need to set the expectation for them to take care of you. We take zero deposits. We've never taken deposits. We never get stiffed. I've gotten stiffed on one job in total, and then I've had two that paid 90 some percent of their bill. Both of them were insurance jobs, and both of them wouldn't pay this little remaining balance that their insurance company wouldn't cover. So, in 10 years, I've had a total of, the one job was $24,000, and then I got like 2 grand outside of that that we haven't got paid for. And we sell a lot of jobs on the spot because we don't take deposits. But um, we reiterate consistently throughout our automations and the initial appointment. It's a sales pitch. Hey guys, we take no deposits, but we do expect payment when we finish the job. We tell them that like 2 or 3 times throughout our sales process, to all the way up to completion. Have a check ready at the completion of the project, not a week later. When we finish, have a check prepared, because we're going to be there within 24 hours to do a final inspection and collect payment. Our AR for residential retail is almost zero. Now, commercial is a whole different game. We have a bunch of commercial stuff that we got AR on, but our residential retail business has almost zero AR ever.
Yeah, because they're already prepared. How has that, you were saying have a check ready? How has that changed at all with ProLine invoicing and the ability to collect those payments through there?
Absolutely.
Or you're just using that as like a figure of speech?
Yeah, so essentially I mean, it's a figure of speech. We love ACH. That's great. My market is not real big on credit card usage. Honest to God, we don't even get that many people ask. Like, it's just not something in my market that's real heavily used. But even if we show up, like we take some credit cards, we take some ACH. They understand when we do our final walk, before we leave the driveway, we expect to leave with some sort of payment transaction, whether it's ACH card or a paper check. So, yeah, I mean, it just tees it up. It's just like asking for a 5-star review. Obviously, you're teeing up that 5-star review at the sales call. You tell the people, hey, we want to give you a 5-star service and earn a 5-star review during the sales call, the sales inspection. You're going to tell them that all the way through the process because you want to earn the 5-star review. Well, guess what? I also want to get paid. I don't want to have a ton of AR. We did the job. We did it at no deposit. So I'm going to tee up. I'm going to have in your brain that, don't forget, you owe me X amount when we finish. And we have no problem with it. That they understand that a callback is a warranty issue. That's not part of the 20 grand you spent, and you get to hold 20 grand because you found some nails on the ground, or a couple shingles are not laying flat or something, whatever. You don't get to hold 20 grand because of that. That's a warranty issue. You call me, we'll come make sure that that's taken care of within 24 hours. Mm. And I mean, you can check our Google reviews. We have 0 bad ones. So it works.
The deposit creates this mindset that, oh, I've paid you so that you come work, and now the second half is when I'm happy.
Yeah.
And everything. And
bullshit.
It creates this mentality of, oh, that's my insurance policy against you doing anything. So I can see how with your approach, there's less of that because it sort of sets the stage right from the beginning.
I know this is off the tracks of what we were talking about, but I think it's the number one reason roofing companies go out of business. And I also think that it's super unprofessional to take a bunch of money from somebody for nothing. You haven't done anything. Why do you need paid? Like, that makes no sense to me. Why do you need 50% of the project when you literally have done nothing? Like, you've done nothing. And mind you, these jobs are 1 to 2 days. If you're in business for yourself, and I'm not trying to dog on the guys just getting started or anything like that. there are options, credit cards, credit with your supplier, whatever. Like there's options. I, you know, I've got credit with my supplier. I rack that bill up to 100 and some $1,000s a week. You know what I mean? I pay it weekly just so I don't get crazy. But regardless, how many contractors take all these deposits? They go buy these big fancy trucks because their bank account's showing a ton of money in it. They buy all this shit, brand new trailers, brand new trucks, whatever, new hot tub in the backyard, whatever it is. Then as they start getting slow, the leads aren't coming in, so they're not collecting deposits, and they got this backlog of work. Guess what happens? They can't afford to buy the material for the project.
Yeah.
You're out of business. Period. That's exactly how it happens. I've seen it so many times. But here's the thing. I'm a homeowner. There's no way in hell I'm handing somebody 10 grand at the sales call to know that they're not coming to do my roof for 3 to 4 weeks. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. And why should you? There's no point. You didn't purchase anything. So
Yeah.
for us, we sign a lot of contracts at the point of sale simply because there's no money involved. Like you don't have to do anything today. But I will tell you the rebuttal will be, well, yeah, but people back out of your contract. Okay. So you're the asshole that's going to keep somebody's 50% on shingles that can be 100% refunded. Like, does it really matter? You're still going to get a shitty review online. If you kept somebody's $10,000 deposit and you didn't do their roof because they decided to go another direction after they signed your contract, they're going to light you up online. Like, so
Yeah.
there's no upside. There's zero upside.
Unless you are in fact overextended. That'd be the only, it's not even upside, but it's like there's no really good reason unless you are overextending yourself.
Yeah, and then you know what happens next? You overextend more.
Yeah.
That's all that happens. That's all because you're going to take 3 grand of that $10,000 deposit and pay your insurance and pay your payroll that was due last week, and now you're overextended even more. So that's not a way to run a business. The way to run a business is to, if you're in that position, hunker down, find places with credit that will let you pay in time to get you out of that bind that you're in, not to take a customer's money to get you out of a bind. That customer's money is for the project. The profits after it's done.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one that says that. Everybody says you should, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I don't get it. Like I do not get it. I think it's the craziest thing in the world to take these big deposits. I think it's the fastest way to get yourself in a really bad spot.
Yeah. Yep. No, it makes sense. Makes sense. I like that. I like that mentality, especially with something as now. I think I feel differently about it if it's a long drawn out project like a bathroom remodel. So it's like you're going to be in their home for 2 weeks on this. And so halfway through the job, so there is like a little bit more there's more cost up front. And because you're going to have to pay those guys that are sitting around the house. And then also there's more, there's a little bit more risk exposure. But like you're saying with a roof, it's like you're there for one day, you know? So it's like, and all these programs, there's no need for it.
I still think it's wrong. I built
Even
houses with deposits,
without deposits?
without deposits, none of
No.
them. And I'll tell you why. You do a draw system, not a deposit system. So if you're going to be on this long drawn out process, bathrooms, I used to do them 1 to 2 weeks, right? Like max. 2 weeks
Yeah.
is a long time in a bathroom remodel.
Yeah.
But if you're building a house or you're doing something that's really, month, 2 months, 3 months, something really long, you do a draw system and then you get paid at certain stages of the project. So, like we used to set it up where we would get paid when the rough framing was done. So, once
Mhm.
we had all the frame of the house up, we got 25%. We got our next 25% when all rough mechanical was in. So, plumbing, electric, heating, and cooling. And then we dried it in. So, shingles and siding and
Yeah.
windows. We'd get another 25% when the drywall was hung. And then we get the final 25% at completion. So we had a process to where And that, a house for us took, turnkey 3 months. We always were able to pay our bills each month with our suppliers because that draw was coming that we could take care of those bills. So I had no money. So don't get it misconstrued. It's not like I was had this huge operation with it. No, I had so much, money out and no money in. I mean, but we built off of that. And slowly my bank account got bigger and bigger where cash was less of an issue.
And you're not
Deposits.
overextended because you've
I'm
done
never
something.
overextended. If I got to a point where I was absolutely stuck, there was one time, there's only been one time, and I about went bankrupt. And I called my supplier. I said, hey, it was Carter Lumber. I called Carter. I said, hey, I don't have it. The draw isn't going to come for another 2 weeks. We're just not there yet. Everything's going slow. It was middle of winter. It was just a bad time. We had 3 houses going at the same time. I said, I don't have the check. And I owed him like 160 grand. And then I owed my mechanical guy that does plumbing. He did plumbing, electrical, and heating and cooling. I owed him like 90 some $1,000. I called both of them and said, look, I can't pay. Like you're going to have to wait. You would be shocked at how these especially suppliers are more than happy to say, okay, we're just going to put a little fee on there for a late fee, but that'll give you a whole nother month. Perfect. I think they charged me like 1% or 2% or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, that's just part of it. But I never gotten a point where um that particular job was an absolute catastrophe. But regardless, I didn't get myself to the point of filing bankruptcy because they owed me way more than I owed anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, if you have that reputation too of like you pay your bills, that's going to help too. So as long as if you're doing it the right way consistently over time, you build a reputation, then yeah, if when things do happen, you'll be able to fall back on that.
Build a relationship. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what it's all about. My plumbing electrician guy, I used him all the time, always paid him quickly. And when the time came that shit hit the fan for me, he's like, "Man, you've always been good to me. Just get it when you can." And that's what we did. As soon as we had it, we paid him.
Yeah. Love it. Um, totally makes sense. All right. If you guys have any questions for us, we'd love to answer your questions. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going through our own. But if you have any questions for us, just put that in the Q&A down at the bottom of Zoom, and we'll hit that next.
I'll tell you
Um,
what John was talking about that was kind of interesting on that topic
yeah.
that is very relevant. When you take deposits, the homeowner feels that you owe them.
Mm,
You don't take a deposit during the entire process, that homeowner feels that they owe you. There's a mindset in that forces them to want to pay that bill quicker. Not everybody, but most people, when you're working and you've taken nothing, they feel shit. I need to get that guy paid. He's put my whole roof on. He's done.
yeah.
He's taking nothing. If they paid half of it, they don't feel like they owe you.
They might have gone into this whole ordeal of replacing their roof with the assumption that it was going to cost that half, right?
Yes,
So in their mind, they're like, I've already paid this guy everything I feel like this is worth.
exactly, exactly. And then they're fine with waiting a month or 60 days to pay the remainder.
They
Oh, I'm going
feel
to go get
justified.
financing now. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to go get financing now. We're done. And
Yeah.
that's the shit that happens. So
Yeah.
anyway, not to run down the rabbit hole too far, but he made a great point that was that they feel like you owe them.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. Makes sense. Cool. Yeah, totally agree. Um, next question here. Just had it lined up. What technology can I use to improve roof installations?
Company cam. I mean, company cam, ProLine. That's the two. Like, I know that probably sounds generic, but at the end of the day, ProLine, the work orders that we pull straight from our quote, makes that transition to production so easy, and so efficient. And then company cam being able to monitor the daily or the hourly progress of a project from your phone. I mean, those are the two pieces of tech that I mean, that's made it where all of our sales guys are cradle to grave and they spend almost no time on production. So it's, I don't know how everybody else is doing it, but that works well for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I hadn't thought of ProLine kind of being a production help since it's being passed off. But I guess setting it up the right way, like having a good work order, material order from the jump, sets up your production to be
Yep.
smooth.
Yep, absolutely. There's no question of what's getting done, what's not getting done. You have that work order, then you have all the photos to document the process.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Um, did we talk about subs last week? I feel like we talked about subcontractors last week.
I don't know.
Maybe not. We're talking about it again. All right, what's should I have sub crews or should I hire W2 employees
I
for
think we
my
did talk about this a little bit, but I do like this question because I've had both. And yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to have in-house labor, I think you better have really, really have your shit together because it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to manage and it's very difficult to be profitable on. The potential of profit is greater. I've done the homework, I've done the math. The potential profit in a project is higher with in-house labor. You pay subs if you have 10 guys on a crew, a 10-man crew, in-house 10 guys should be able to be less money per day than 10 subs working by the square. The problem is you have to motivate those 10 in-house guys consistently to produce the same outcome that the subs are producing. Subcontractors, they're paid, piece rate. They're paid by the square, they're paid by the piece, whatever it is. They're very motivated to hustle and be very efficient with what they do. Where in-house guys, they're not highly motivated because most of them are paid by the hour. They love getting some overtime, so they don't give a shit if they got to work 55, 60 hours a week. That just means more money in their pocket. They don't care how much gets accomplished each day. So it's definitely a lot harder to do. The other part of it is too, any callbacks that come with a project with in-house labor, that's money you're spending to send a guy back out there at an hourly fee to take care of those callbacks. If it's a sub crew, at least with ours, that's just part of the agreement. If there's a problem with your work, with your cleanup, with anything that you did on the job site, that liability falls on you. Even damages to the property. Say they drop a bundle of shingles on the hood of a car. Well, you should make sure your subs have liability insurance. That doesn't fall on your company. That will fall on your subcontractor's insurance. So, the liability goes down, but the profit potential also goes down with subs. It's just a lot harder to run.
Yeah. Yep. Um, yeah, that makes sense. I think we talked about this maybe in the context of PE firms last week and
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah. That's what it was.
yeah,
That's
how
right.
larger like roll-ups, it starts to make more sense to have W2 at a certain scale. But because it's not that you're hiring W2 as much as it is that you're just both owning the sub crew business and the roofing business, because they're really two different businesses. And so you just gotta, that's the thing, is like they're two different businesses that work independently, are not a one-to-one.
Right.
So you can't just have a sub crew in a roofing business and have it fit by default. But if you own multiple roofing businesses or a very, very large roofing business, then it then makes sense to essentially own multiple or one or more sub crews as well. And you can benefit, from both. You're essentially like, benefiting both ways. But yeah, that's how I think of it.
Yeah. I think you're spot on.
Cool. So, yeah, guys, if you got any questions for us, we love answering questions that come from whoever's with us live. So please put those in the Q&A at the bottom. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going through our own. Um, all right. What is the best way to fasten shingles to a roof?
With a nail gun. I don't know. I mean, like
I
that,
think was it isn't am I thinking of overlayment, that there's multiple choices? Isn't there different kinds of nails that you can use?
I mean, you use ring shank or smooth shank nails, but essentially it's. I think some guys I've seen. Well, actually, on double wides on like modular homes, they staple them on.
Really?
Which I will say, oh yeah, there's these big wide crown staples. I will say they're an absolute bastard to tear off. I don't know what code is on that. I don't know what the idea is with that. I'm sure it's cheaper. That's why they do it. But they are a nightmare to tear off. So maybe they're onto something. I doubt it because nobody else does it that way. But everybody just uses inch and a quarter coil roofing nails. We are getting ready to make the switch to ring shank coil nails through Van Boxel. Van Boxel is a bulk material distributor, and we're going to be buying. We just bought one semi load of material off of them. We're getting ready to buy another one here before too long. Found out that they do sell ring shank nails at the same price as smooth shank. So just as something to kind of upgrade our system, essentially at no cost to us or the homeowner, we're gonna move to the ring shank nails because they hold better. They've got a higher pull factor or pull rating, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But they're just a better nail.
Isn't there still a thing? I heard this from somebody at some point, but some people still believe that hand hammering nails has an advantage of some kind, like the nail guns overdrive or something like that.
Yeah, they're lying, but it now if you're in my climate of the world, that's just not really accurate. Now, if you go down to Texas or Florida, I know I talked to a guy down in Texas, a couple guys down in Texas, and in the summer times they have to hand nail everything because the shingles are so soft
Mm.
because of the heat that a nail gun will blow through them. But we don't deal with that. But yeah, I mean, if you're in that kind of now up here in the wintertime, because the shingles are so brittle and your compressor freezes up constantly. So like, not that we really don't roof below 40 degrees, but even like a big repair or something like that where you've got like 4 or 5 bundles or a couple square or whatever, we hand nail those in the wintertime when it's real cold out because their shingles are now so brittle that they will essentially break in those areas that you're shooting those nails into, and they'll blow through it. But yeah, I mean, I would say 95% of the country, 99% of the year shoots them with a gun.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. What are the best gun options? Is it air compressed air all the way, or can you get away with those? I've seen those electric ones that have the battery
We've got
powered.
one. Yeah, we've got
Okay.
our repair guys got one, and that thing is the shit. We got one of the DeWalt ones. I've seen Milwaukee come out with one recently that looks smaller,
Yeah.
which is kind of intriguing because the DeWalt one's pretty heavy. So I would like to check this new Milwaukee one out. I haven't seen anybody with it. I've just seen it online. Um, because the DeWalt one's pretty heavy. It's not practical for shooting on 10 square. Like
Oh,
maybe
is that the
maybe like
downside? Because it's so
it's
heavy.
heavy as shit. Like it, you got to think you're holding on to that thing the whole time. Like
Yeah.
you don't set it down. So if that thing, I don't know what it weighs, but I'm sure it weighs 5 pounds or so, and just dragging around a 5 pound gun
Yeah.
all day long. It's and the battery life. It doesn't shoot as fast. The battery life's you know battery life. It's not endless like air supply. But it's pretty damn sweet. If you're only shooting on a couple bundles and you don't want to, get a compressor out, plug it in, drag an air hose out, whatever, they definitely have their place in this world. There's no doubt about it. I love it.
Yeah.
For repair work, it's fantastic. But if you're re-roofing, yeah, it's no brainer. We like Max guns are the ones super roofers is what we love. So that's what are on most of our job sites.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super interesting. Um, cool. All right. I'm checking for any questions. You guys got any questions for us? No questions today. This is sad. We usually
This
get and we get get a number of questions. Hey, literally ask us anything. We'd love to answer. All right. Um, another question here. We're just on a production kick today. We hit marketing and stuff so often. It's nice to be able to just focus on production. Can you install metal roofing over existing asphalt shingles?
we haven't been. We used to, then we switched. But I'll tell you, I had a conversation with um Forever Metal Roofing. What's his name? I'm so bad with names.
Travis. Yeah, I think it's Travis.
Yep, Travis.
Yep.
Um, so Travis is like a brilliant guy when it comes to metal, and he has some really good philosophy on installing directly over shingles, and I believe it's a good thing because it does help keep some stuff out of the landfill. And as far as the roof performance, it really doesn't affect it. But his philosophy is to felt the roof, then install furring strips, and then install your metal. That way, there's an air barrier between the two, and you get a smoother looking panel. We've done that in the past. You just have to be very careful, especially bigger guys. You basically have to walk on the screws where the furring strips are at, because if you step like right in the middle,
You
you
can.
do take the risk of putting a dent in the metal. So it will put a kink in it. I've seen it, a number of times, but he swears that's the way, that's the best way to install metal over shingles. Um, I mean, I've seen it and we've done it where we've install felt, synthetic felt, and then metal right over the shingles. We quit doing it because I don't like the look of it. Because if your nail falls in like the uh, place where there's like kind of a gap in the shingles, it will create a little bit of a divot right there, and so you get these little spots in the roof that are sunken just a little bit. But in metal, being because it's such a smooth panel, you see it stands out like a sore thumb. It just looks terrible. Um so we quit doing it. We did it like that for a very short period of time. We don't do that anymore because it just I think it looks bad when the sun hits it. It just looks terrible.
Yeah. It looks like it was installed wrong or something.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
And that's not from over tightening, because people are going to say that that's from over tightening. We literally have a gun that's got a torque setting on it that you can't over tighten. It doesn't matter. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. Yeah. Why the air gap? What did Travis say is important about that?
So it helps the condensation more because you have some airflow between those two systems. Then you get the smooth surface because you're laying on brand new lumber, so you don't have those dips and ridges that are in the shingles to kind of mirror through. He had a handful of reasons, and they were all pretty good reasons. But those were the big ones. The other one is when you're going straight over shingles, you don't know what is underneath of it, right? You don't know if there's soft plywood. You don't know if it's only. I mean, we've roofed houses around here that have 3/8 plywood on them. You know what I mean? That's
Oh,
way below code.
yeah.
Um, and that for a screw to bite that, there's just not a ton of meat there for that to grab. But let's say it's OSB, okay? Because OSB sucks. We use it all the time. It's just part of building. But as soon as it gets wet at all, it really is terrible because it gets soft. So let's say it's not rotted, it's not soft to step on, so you don't know. But you drive that screw into what was maybe damp at one time, it has no pull power. Like there, that screw will not suck tight. And 9 times out of 10, you strip that hole out. Now, the only way to actually get anything to bite is to go into the attic, put a chunk of lumber on the backside of that screw, and then suck that screw tight into that lumber so that the washer, sucks down to it and seals that hole. Um, when you're installing furring strips, you've got, a 1/2 inch furring strip, which is true SPF lumber, plus whatever's beneath it, because you're nailing the furring strips into the trusses.
Yeah.
So you're screwing into solid material that's going to have pull power. That's the biggest one, I think. I think that's the biggest reason.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Well, we'll just follow that up with the same question on the asphalt side. Can you install asphalt shingles over old asphalt shingles?
Yeah, but the next guy's going to hate you. We're doing one. Well, actually, we're finishing it maybe an hour ago. It was 3 layers, which by code in our area, and I think it's national code.
Three
Two
layers.
layers is the max, I
Yeah.
believe. I know in our area, 2 layers is the max. So you can do a layer of shingles, a layer of metal, 2 layers of shingles, whatever. Um, the most I've ever tore off was 7 layers on one roof. And I swear to God, that house lifted like 3 inches once we got them all off because you know how much
So
weight.
heavy.
Oh my God, you know how much weight was on that poor house. Like, there's no way the windows opened because they had to have them buckled. You know what I mean? Like that much weight on the roof is
Yeah.
so much. It was like 30 square, and I think it was 4 dump trailer loads on 30 square. Usually it's one. Usually one dump trailer on 30 square is sufficient.
That's
Um,
gotta be dangerous.
oh yeah. Yeah, you can't do that. Like you should not do that. You
Who's
shouldn't do two, in my opinion.
Yeah. 7 times though? Who was there one contractor kept coming back and doing it, or is it multiple or
I mean, this is an old farmhouse. Who knows? Probably the old farmers that live there just, hey, order some shingles. We'll go nail them on because it's leaking. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just kind
Imagine
of what happens. I've even seen it where contractors are real shady and shitheads, and they'll go up the rake and down the eave, and they'll cut off, a foot of shingle and then install the roof over the rest of it. So the next guy and the homeowner can't tell that there's 2 layers on it or 3 layers on it. Yeah, we've ran into that before too. So we've got it in our contract that states no matter what this says, if there is another layer, we're going to document it and we're going to bill you per square for the extra layer because we've ran into that more than once, surprisingly. Um, you can, you know what I mean? If it's a budget issue and that's just what fits the bill, you can do it. There's nothing wrong with it
the
necessarily.
one
It's
layer.
just, it, you know, you're probably not going to get the warranties from manufacturer that you would get with a clean deck. I know as a master leak contractor, to give certain warranties, they require a clean deck. So, we got to tear the felt off, everything comes off clear to the bare wood, and then we install a new roof. But it's hard to find those soft spots. It's hard to find a lot of issues that, you know, could be underlying if you don't tear it off. So it's like hanging drywall over existing drywall and not knowing if what's in behind it was moldy. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, you're still just hanging drywall over a bunch of mold. You still have mold in your house, so same idea.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just running a risk there. If you do decide to lay down another layer on top of an existing layer, Would you still lay down some kind of underlayment in between the layers, or would you just go straight over?
We don't do it at all. But I believe from what I've seen tearing off, nobody does. So anytime I've ever seen
Multiple layers.
multiple layers, it's always just shingles right over shingles. I never see it, a layer of shingles, a layer of felt, a layer. I don't think I've seen that one time.
Yeah.
But again, you're playing in that world of no manufacturer warranty to where install process isn't really regulated.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like you're not gonna if you're already such a budget that you don't want to tear off the old roof, why would you go to the expense of putting underlayment? But
Right.
I guess it's it's kind of redundant because you already have the layer of shingles underneath.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So all right. If you guys got any questions, now is the time. We're coming up on closing time. Um, all right. Next question here. Staples or coil nails for underlayment?
I got grilled on this one time. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I remember who it was too.
Yeah, fucker. Yeah, no, we use either. So we staple a lot of it. We've got one crew that staples everything, and we got another crew that button caps everything. And then if I'm roofing, I'm coil nailing as long as it's walkable. If it's walkable, I just shoot it on with coil nails because it's way faster. Um, you don't have to hand drive or deal with a stinger or anything like that. I think I don't know why the one crew we've got loves the staples so much because I think they're a complete pain in the ass. There's guns. I feel like they jam often, and they're just a pain in the butt to use. Um, yeah, for me, if it's walkable, I shoot it on with a gun with coil nails. It holds it down long enough to get shingles put on. You're putting shingles on literally as soon as you get the felt on, so it doesn't have to hold it down forever. If it's when we did new construction where we were felting and maybe not shingling for a week, we button capped it. If I'm on something steep where I need to be able to stand on it and know that it's not going to slide out from under my feet, I'm button capping it. But I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. I think it's situational and I think it's preference. The one guy that was grilling me on it said that Staples void warranty. I have asked because I was really, really confused by that. I've asked around. I have not found anybody that would say that would void warranty. So um, I think he's wrong. But regardless, I don't think it matters. I just don't think it matters that much.
Yeah,
As long as it's on there and in good condition when you install the shingles over top of it, that's the key.
that's the important part. Yeah, makes sense. Why do I need to install flashing around chimneys?
I mean, it's the number one leak point. That and skylights, those are going to be your places that always leak. If there's an issue, that's where it's typically at. You got two mixed surfaces coming into each other on different angles. So you've got, a 90-degree chimney coming in to a flat roof or at pitched roof, it doesn't really matter. But you also have, if the chimney's not in the ridge and it's out in the field or down on the eave, you've got the backside of it where you need a cricket to shed that water away because you don't want that water ponding behind the chimney. But you've got to step flash it and then you have to cut the brick or whatever, brick, you cut, you counter flash. If it's wood or vinyl, you're tucking everything up under that product to get your water shed off of the house. Yeah, it's not like a want to thing. Like you have to. That is going to leak if you do not flash it properly.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. What about other penetrations like vents, um, telephone, telephone towers?
Yeah,
How do
like
you
an
waterproof around
mask
those?
or yeah, anything like
Yep,
that.
mass.
Yeah, I mean so the the first thing to go bad in a roof system is usually the boot. Say you did a perfect install, flashing's good, boots are good, everything's good. First thing to go bad is typically the boot. So we always take the time. We try to sell lifetime pipe boots to our customers because it's a little bit of an upsell, but at the same time, we know we're not coming back to this job ever. Like that's a 30-year roof. Should be a 30-year roof without issue. Um, what we like to do is we ice guard the area around the pipe. So we use, ice guard underneath of it. We'll put our boot on. We'll caulk the top of the boot before we lay our shingles on it. So the shingle seals really, really tight to the boot. And then we go through and around where the rubber of the boot meets the pipe, we run a bead of caulking around that as well. Just if that when because what happens first is that rubber starts to dry rot and starts to crack. So, with that extra bead of silicone around that, our hope is that that will, even when that starts to crack and dry rot, that will kind of still keep things sealed for at least a little bit longer. Um, but yeah, that's the first place to go bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that make sense? All right. We're coming up on our final question. We have time for maybe two more. Gustavo, do you got a question for us? This is your last chance. If you have any questions to ask, this is your last chance. You got to put it in the Q&A. Last chance today. We'll answer one more of ours, um, and then we might have time for one more. So, all right. So next question here. What are the benefits of installing ridge vents, and what are the best styles to use?
I mean, ridge vents are the best type of ventilation you can have. Everything tells you heat rises. So if you have slant backs or even a power vent, I would argue, and I don't know the study behind this, I guess, so I don't want to speak too out of turn, but I would argue that you see power vents on a roof and they're 6 feet down from the ridge. I would argue that that's not pulling any of the heat from up at that 6 feet above.
Yeah.
Heat rises. That hottest air is going to stay up there. Um, with ridge vent, naturally your air comes in the soffit and out the ridge. So that entire attic gets ventilated all the way to the highest point. So, I mean, we offer nothing else. Like that's it. There are situations where you have to do something different and then we will. But if that's the option, which 9 out of 10 times that is an option, that's what we go with. The best ones I think are I really like the stick type of the plastic stick type of ridge vent. It comes in like usually 4 foot sections. I like it particularly because we can keep our waste down. I know a lot of manufacturers sell a harder plastic material that is in like 20 to 30 foot rolls, depending on your manufacturer. The problem with that is say you've got 100 feet of ridge, you have 20 foot of wasted ridge vent. So with the 4 foot sticks, you can dial in your numbers a little tighter and get that waste factor down quite a bit. They sell the mesh type stuff. I see it all the time. That's like in a roll. It's freaking garbage. Like there's no way I'd put that on a roof. I want the hard plastic that you can shingle right over, so it looks good, keeps the bugs out, lets the air vent. I mean, that's the system that most guys are using today.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't it come like 5 foot or 10 foot
So
sections or
you can get it in 4 foot sections,
4 foot?
or like I said, you can get the rolls that are like between 20 and 30 foot, depending on the manufacturer.
Yeah.
But I suggest the 4 footers. There's 3 and 4 foot, depending on your manufacturer. But I prefer those because I can keep my waste down. 90 foot of rolls is 3 rolls. If you got 95 feet that you need, well, you got to have a whole extra roll just to do 5 more feet.
Yeah.
And the price per linear foot is almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense.
Yeah. This makes sense. So if you're installing the ridge vents, are you installing any other types of vents as well? If you have ridge vents on it, then you don't need anything else.
it's situational again. I mean, if you've got a roof that runs into a wall like this, and there's not a real good opportunity to put a ridge in there and say that's like an addition or something that does have attic space, it does have ventilation through the soffit, then that might be a situation for a power vent or a couple of slant back vents across that roof up toward the top, obviously. Um, but yeah, there's definitely, I mean, there's a reason those products are still held in every supplier store. It's because they definitely still have their place. But if you've got a gable roof, you should have ridge vent on the top of it. If you've got an addition, you might have to, add additional ventilation for that addition.
Yeah.
I mean, they make ridge vent for hips now too. So like even if it's a hip roof, you can vent the hips all the way up, so it's getting ventilation the entire length of that hip.
Mm.
Again, all the way to the top where the heat's actually at.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Well, that's our time. So we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see everybody next week. This is the new time. So we're doing 4:30 p.m. For the foreseeable future, probably just through winter. 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Um, and so yeah, we'll see everybody next time.
See it.